Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the governor announced more closures last night, along with more than 100 new cases of COVID-19. And we go to Knott County, where officials announced the county's first confirmed case of COVID-19 yesterday. And Pulaski County is a COVID-19 hotspot in our region, but the county judge executive said there was some good news about their numbers.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Katie Cook. It is Friday, April the 10th, and your time is about 6 o'clock. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson, who again joins us from home this morning, trying to stay healthy out there. Happy Friday to you, Brandon.
Happy Friday. I got a cup of coffee brewing. I'll send you one here in a little bit, Katie. But yeah, things are cold. Need some coffee. As we take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, you see a little bit of blue showing up on there this morning, so a colder trend. As we head through today, we'll see again just a little bit left over. It should be gone here before too long. We move on to visibility, and it was a little bit rough earlier in Wise, but things have kind of calmed down just a little bit. We're going to continue to watch that trend as we head through the morning hours, but here's the big story. Temperatures, 35, Irvin, Jackson, Hazard, Somerset, and London at 36, Pikeville's at 34, and Wise right at freezing this morning. You factor in some winds, and they are stout this morning out of the northwest. So that's where that moisture came from, pulling it off the Great Lakes, good old upslope. And you see anywhere between 5, 10, 15 miles per hour. And we're going to see wind chills feel like in the 20s in some places. Feels like 25 right now in Pikeville and Logan, 22 in Wise. Forecast for today, well, it's going to be sunny later, but not too warm. Only 52 for a daytime high. Cold tonight. We'll talk about how cold and what we got to look forward to in just a little bit. Katie?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Governor Andy Beshear announced 134 new confirmed COVID-19 cases last night, bringing the total to 1,452. 6 new deaths were also reported. The governor also announced Cumberland Falls and Natural Bridge State Parks would be closing. Last night, we saw just how heavy the crisis is weighing on state leaders when Dr. Stephen Stack was at the podium.
And in the span of a few hours, we had come up with at least a temporary patch, and I'm happy to report that the 4 medical students are on site. So in a very short span of time, they had arrived. They are now already at work. So to Gant and Meredith and Amanda and Heather, thank you. You are heroes. And forgive me, you know, it's tough. We come up here and we talk about this stuff, and we try to balance back and forth the humanity of this. And so I'm the first one on the team that got the chance to break down.
Obviously a hard moment for Dr. Stack. Those students he was talking about were heading off to fight the virus at healthcare and nursing home facilities hit hard in western Kentucky. And here in eastern Kentucky, we learned of a new nursing home reporting multiple cases. The Cumberland Valley District Health Department reported that the Jackson Manor in Jackson County has 6 cases. Those 6 people are in isolation and being monitored. A 7th case in the county is unrelated to the nursing home. And Knott County has its first case of COVID-19. The announcement was made yesterday in downtown Hindman. The person is a 39-year-old woman who worked at Appalachian Wireless in downtown Hindman. Officials say if you went to that store between March 24th and April 3rd, you need to be monitoring yourself for symptoms. Scott Lockard, the public health director in the Kentucky River District, says the people who she came in contact with at the store would be considered low risk, and mentioned that this woman will have to isolate herself for at least 14 days. He shared some information on how that works.
Some individuals are actually running a fever longer periods of time. So a rule of thumb that we guide by there too is that an individual needs to be 72 hours fever-free without medication before they would be considered where they could not shed the virus and actually infect others. So that's a key number there. 72 hours fever-free, no medication.
Now, the woman is at home and she is doing okay. During yesterday's news conference, Lockard also said that out of the 6 cases in the Kentucky River District's counties, 2 of them have recovered. Last night, Pulaski County officials reported 2 new cases of the coronavirus, bringing their total to 30. Almost half have recovered, while 2 are in the hospital, and 1 person has also died. WYMT's Will Puckett has more from community members and officials as they work to slow the spread.
Pulaski County Judge Executive Steve Kelly is working to help educate the public.
Yesterday I did a Facebook Live, and I've asked our parents to please keep your teens from going out in the evening, because while they may be healthy enough to catch this virus and recover, they may bring it back to those of us who are not so healthy and may not recover.
Kelly says 15 of their 30 cases came from a single church service, while the other half are community spread.
We've got that pretty well contained now, and it should be far enough along where we won't see any more outbreaks related to the church.
For many who live in Pulaski County, they knew it was only a matter of time until they saw cases here.
To be honest with you, it's a little bit lower than what I thought it would be, especially with more tests going out. I do think that we're not finished with the increase in cases. I'd say to expect at least a couple dozen more.
Alex Wilson and his brother own a company in Pulaski County, and with their dealings with the public out and about, they're seeing mixed reactions to the news.
But I think everybody's just kind of in a mode of this is the new normal.
A new normal that is changing even the way they plan to celebrate Easter.
I'll say it's going to be a first for me, not being able to attend church, not being able to even sit down with my family and enjoy a traditional Sunday meal. So it is going to be different.
But for Kelly, he believes that the sacrifices now will only help them come out stronger on the other side.
Spread the good cheer, because we do have hope here. When this passes, we're going to be strong when we come out of this.
In Pulaski County, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Kelly says hopefully the nice weather will help people with their mental health, giving them a break outside. Elsewhere in the WYMT viewing area, Pike County reported 2 more cases. Rowan County reported its first case, and Rockcastle County, now has 10. And the Laurel County Health Department reported its 6th case. Floyd County officials held a news conference last night because they thought the county had its first case of COVID-19, but according to the health department officials, they learned before the conference began that the case is in a neighboring county, but was reported with a P.O. box address in Floyd County. The health department says mix-ups like this may be common as the virus spreads, since county lines are often blurred.
The numbers can't be exact, and people are getting just hackled over those numbers. Why did the governor report 4 cases, but this county didn't report any cases? And it's because of the dynamics of it. So once we have a case, as you can see, we are on top of it.
The information about the positive case will be released by the county of residence when its health department confirms the details. We will have updates on that when they are available. There could be even more changes coming to the way people vote in the upcoming primary. The COVID-19 pandemic had state officials moving the primary to June 23rd, but they're also considering other changes, and the governor wants a mail-in method to be considered. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to the Secretary of State about the proposed changes.
Ultimately, what you saw was a significant plummeting in election turnout.
Kentucky has been here before in 1918 during the Spanish flu, which was also an election year.
What they did is they just went on with their normal election. And you had the health department closing polling sites, shutting down rallies.
Both the Secretary of State and governor are considering changes for this year. Already the May primary has been pushed back to June 23rd, and both are considering procedural changes for that day.
Voting by mail is something, I had a meeting on it today with my staff. It's something that I believe for the primary we have to not only be looking very seriously at, but we got to be moving forward with the plans for it.
But where I'm leaning right now is to expand the absentee voting process and permit that to take place by mail or in person, and having extra days of early voting on site.
Adams says they want to avoid problems like those seen in Wisconsin, where some waited in long lines, sometimes as long as 6 hours to cast their ballots.
So what we need to do is relieve that pressure on our poll workers, relieve that pressure on one day for the election to occur, try to space that out over time.
Adams says that about 2% of people return their ballots by mail now, but because of COVID-19 and the strain on the psyche of most people, he says that could go up to as high as 50% now. He says he will recommend changes to the governor sometime in the next 2 weeks. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Secretary Adams says a bill on the governor's desk right now would allow the governor, upon recommendation by the Secretary of State, to make executive orders to change the time, place, or manner for holding an election. Due to the pandemic, an unprecedented number of Americans have found themselves jobless. The staggering figures have left state unemployment officials overwhelmed with claims. In 3 weeks, nearly 17 million Americans have lost their jobs. A report released yesterday suggests Kentucky ranks 5th in the nation in recent unemployment claims.
Well, it's a little bit on the dreary side this morning, but the forecast today can be summed up in one word: sunshine. Let's take a look and see what's going on across the region right now. We're looking at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and things are starting to kind of get out of here. It's going to be a little bit of a colder morning, but just be ready for that because it's going to be definitely chilly as you head out. If you have to head out this morning, 32 in Wise, 35 Jackson and Hazard, 36 London, and in Somerset right now. Factor in the temperature change from yesterday. Some spots are more than 20 degrees colder than they were this time yesterday. So again, it's just going to be a cold day, even though it's going to be sunny. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer after a cold start to the day. Frost likely tonight, so make sure you cover up those sensitive plants. And then for Easter Sunday, unfortunately, soggy conditions, and we could hear a few rumbles of thunder as well. Katie?
All right, thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way next. Coming up, we are keeping an eye on gas prices as the cost to fill up your tank continues to plummet. We'll break down the numbers.